All right, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all glory and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash, Brakata Yahweh, Brakata Yahushai, Brakata Yahweh, Brakata Yahushai, Brakata Yahweh, Brakata Yahushai, Kal Halal, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash. I want to give double honors to the elders and apostles at Great Millstone who rule well and teach well in sincerity and charity, peace and salutation on the Lord's elect. Brother Yawasop coming through with a quick video today through the spirit and power of Yahweh by Shem Yahushai. Lord willing, it's edifying and exhorting. And it's going to be along the lines of without roots, you will get no fruit. And, this image right here says the 4 types of faith. The wayside, the ones that heard the message of Yahweh by Shem Yahushai but disregarded it. The ones that were sown upon a rock where they did not obtain roots and they withered away. And then the seeds sown among the thorns, those that were choked by the things of this world, or they fell back, and turned the plow. And then there's those that, are sown on good ground, and that through patience and endurance, they get deeper and deeper and more rooted throughout the seasons. And then they end up, producing much fruit, which then bears seeds for many to sprout. And that's the beauty of this ministry, is that we show our roots by faith and works. At the same time, we need to make sure that we're learning under the right doctrine in order to obtain those firm roots and be in that firm foundation, because there's many trees where it's the same species, but one tree doesn't end up growing as strong as the other one, and that's because it never got the right establishment. And we get that establishment in order to obtain fruit for others to have through the right doctrine. And that's the doctrine under Great Millstone. Okay, under the apostles and elders from Apostle Tahar on down, with the beloved Apostle Gabar, Apostle of Ramlab, Elder Apostle Bakar, and then the bishops and elders and teachers, so on and so forth. Book of Amos 3:3. Can two walk together except they be agreed? Will a lion roar in the forest when he hath no prey? Will a young lion cry out of his den if he had taken nothing? So you're never able to have a firm foundation is if all you're around, if you're sharpening iron with people that or you're trying to sharpen iron with people that have, a dull knife. And that you can't be in the same unity, man, with people that are unequally yoked. And that even comes down to the proper doctrine, man. You have some people that are Israelites and know they're Israelites but still calling the wrong names. They call on Ahaya, they call on Yeshua, they even call on Christ, man. They can't even use the proper name, let alone, the fact that they're breaking down the mark of the beast wrong. They're not giving the elders that have labored fervently in this for many, many seasons the proper credit, for doing the work of the Lord, and, handing that wisdom and knowledge on down through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. And ultimately, those people are never going to be able to give good fruit. They're going to give moldy fruit that's not profitable, and it ends up being more dangerous to them because they're teaching a false doctrine. And you really want to be careful, man, who you're learning under, in this day and age, man, because it's a very dangerous thing to fall under the doctrine of a wolf in sheep's clothes who appears to be righteous but is just leading you to a pit of destruction. And you really have to pray for that, man. You have to pray for the wisdom to be given to you. And this is the book of Proverbs 4:7. Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore get wisdom, and with all thy getting, get understanding. So, wisdom is what gives you that ability to decipher whether or not, the individual that's teaching you or that you're learning under is teaching according to the oracles of Yahweh. And it says speak according to the oracles. You want to make sure you're speaking according to these scriptures. You don't want to sway away and go based off of what you feel. You got these other camps like Sakari talking about how, Paul's teachings are incorrect. Or you have, different camps speaking all sorts of crazy stuff. You're not speaking according to the oracles of Yahweh. You're not speaking according to these scriptures, man. Precept upon precept, line upon line. First Peter 4:11, if any man speak, let him speak as according to the oracles of Yahweh. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Yahweh giveth, that Yahweh in all things may be glorified through Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. And then it continues to say, beloved, think it not strange concerning the fiery trial, which is trying you. Fiery trial, which is to try you, as though some strange thing happened unto you. So, that's what gives you roots in the first place, man. Speaking according to the oracles, man, of these scriptures. Speaking according to true doctrine. You're not swaying away and speaking lies. And these trials that do come your way, these tests throughout, the day or the week, whether they be big or small, is getting you more and more rooted. Because when the storms come, little by little, those roots dig deeper and deeper, and they get established. A tree, it can't be babied forever. You have to establish it in the beginning, give it a little kickstart, quick showers, but later down the line, if it becomes a big tree, years and years in, it has to, be able to handle itself on its own, through hurricanes, through storms, through fires. And you can't be there to baby that tree all the time. And, that's why in the start, man, we want to make sure that we're established under the right doctrine. We're teaching others the right doctrine, that we're getting firm roots grounded first in the beginning. Because, you can't teach a old dog, new tricks, it says. If you even look at, an animal or anything, man, for that matter, if you train it from the beginning one way and then you have to go back around and, teach them something completely different, it's going to take a long time to adjust, man. So that's why, man, we got to make sure that what we're learning is correct and proper. And that's why, we got to learn under the right people. Psalms 1 and 3, and he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that bringeth forth his fruit in his season. His leaf shall not also wither, and whatsoever he doeth, he shall prosper. So no matter what happens, man, you're not going to wither away. You're not going to drop the plow. You're not going to give up. A righteous man falleth 7 times, and he gets back up. But if you're planted by those rivers of water, man, the living water that you obtain from this word, and you're constantly being filled and satisfied, you're going to always prosper, man. And you're going to bring forth much fruit, man, for other people to take from. And the Lord's going to see that, and he's going to reward you for that, because you're out there doing a good work. And the scriptures talk about, angels. I don't have all these precepts right online, but through the Spirit, they're coming up. I want to bring them out. I want to make sure I can say them, according to the scriptures, precept upon precept, line upon line. So this is the book of Luke 15:10. Likewise, I say unto you, there is joy in the presence of the angels of Yahweh over one sinner that repented. So if you're going and doing the work, bearing good fruit, the Lord sees that, man, and he'll reward you. He definitely sees that. It does not go unnoticed. It does not, you don't labor in vain. Okay? And this is Hebrews 12 and 15, looking diligently lest any man fail the grace of Yahweh, lest any roots of bitterness spring up trouble you, thereby may be defiled. So we don't want to defile these roots, because this is where we keep our foundation. So we're defiling our roots, and we're doing things that we shouldn't, in which we know what's right and what's wrong. We're able to discern that, and sometimes we mess up. Don't get me wrong, but there's a difference between sinning willingly and sinning unknowingly. But you don't want to defile these roots, because when those storms come and those seasons come where things get hard, you're doing everything in your power to be right, and to keep everything holy and acceptable unto the Lord. and this is the book of Mark 4 and 17, words from Yahweh Shai himself, and they have no root in themselves, and so endure for a time, and afterwards when affliction and persecution ariseth for the word's sake, immediately they are offended. So that's talking about, when persecution comes your way and you don't have proper roots, you're going to get offended and you're going to walk away, and that's a scary thing. And that's what happens when you're around congregations, man. Because I myself, at one point, when I came in, I didn't know. Before I found out about the true doctrine of Great Millstone, you get interested, you're zealous, you want to learn about, our culture, because it was hidden from us. And you come across people that, they might have zeal, but not according to righteousness. Not speaking proper doctrine, man. And you really want to be surrounded by the right people from the beginning, if you can. Because when things happen, man, you don't want to just turn away, and then you just fall back into the world. It's a very terrifying thing. Instead, you want to be like, what it talks about in the book of Matthew 7:24 through 27. Therefore, whosoever heareth these sayings of mine and doeth them, I will liken him unto a wise man which built his house upon a rock. And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat upon that house, and it fell not, because it was founded upon a rock. And everyone that heareth these sayings of mine, and doeth them not, shall be likened unto a foolish man, which built his house on sand. And the rains descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat upon that house, and it fell, and great was the fall of it. So, my point that I was trying to make was, when you're a part of these congregations and groups that may claim to have the truth, claim to be, Israelites, but then they have, different nations fellowshipping and believing that they're going to have the same place in the kingdom as us, and they're going to be alongside us, and you're trying to trim your ways for love, and you're just mixing all these different names and doctrines, and it's just some kumbaya. Because I've seen it before, man. That's you building your house upon sand, and then when fury, troubles, and trials come your way, you're not really even on the proper doctrine with everybody. Everybody believes in something different. So how can you be together? How can you be in one body? How can you have firm roots? How can you have a firm foundation when everybody's believing something completely different? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not right. You want to be like that firm house, man, that fortress. Like that fortress of protection, man, that your loins are girded in this truth, as the book of Ephesians chapter 6 says. Firmly planted, man. You look at a foundation. Which one are you going to trust? Are you going to trust that sandcastle when the hurricane comes in? Or are you going to trust that fortress, man, that has walls and rebar, okay, and a foundation with proper architecture from professionals? Which house would you rather trust, man? Which house would you rather go in? Okay, and that's why you want to go into the Lord's house, man, which is, speaking according to the true word, man, the living word. Not swaying away on all these other teachings, man, and just whatever is out there, whatever these people believe in. We got to realize that, man. A lot of solo people riding solo, thinking that they could just do this all on their own, man. At the end of the day, we have to work out our own salvation with fear and trembling. But at the same time, we want to war, man, and go to war with fellow brothers, man, that believe in the same thing as us, because they understand what we're going through. It's hard to do this alone, man, and just be isolated all the time. You can't. First of all, you're never alone, man. You have the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahushai with you. And he's giving you brothers, man. Don't forsake the brotherhood. They need you, man, and you need them during times. This is the book of Romans 11:16. For the first fruit be holy, then the lump is also holy. But if the root be holy, so are the branches. So that's literally saying right there, man, these scriptures, man, explain things perfectly. Let's say that again let's say that again. For if the first fruit be holy, then the lump is also holy. And if the root be holy, so are the branches. So if, your root is holy, if your root is holy, acceptable, righteous, undefiled, prudent, truth, everything else is going to come into order, man. It's going to be like a nice whole fruit, man. And when you bite into it, it's going to be savory. It's going to be a pleasing aroma unto the Lord. It's not like something you're going to bite from the outside and then the inside it tastes bad, it's bland, it's moldy, has worms coming out of it. You don't want that. That's the same thing, man, when you're following all this other nonsense. Okay, this is the same thing with Christianity. This is with Catholicism. It appears to be nice on the outside to the world. Okay? But in reality, it's just opening up a can of worms. And people don't realize that. That's why we're not supposed to love the world. Because if we do, the love of the Father is truly not in us. We're supposed to be outcasted. Okay? Being in this firm foundation, having a strong root is what's keeping us safe from the rest of this world, man. What the rest of this world follows, man. This nonsense. Gotta understand that we're not like these people. And it's not to make ourselves sound prideful or puffed up or boastful, like we're, like we're all human, we're all flesh and blood at the end of the day, but we're on a different vibration because we're following this doctrine, man. Okay? And this beautiful truth. And it comes with, being hated. And this is the book of 2 Timothy 3:16. It says, all scripture is given by the inspiration of Yahweh and is profitable for doctrine, reproof, correction, and instruction in righteousness. So when you see these other people saying that, the law is done away with, we don't got to keep the law anymore. Oh, we could do this. That was Old Testament. Oh, we can only have one wife. You're changing the scriptures, man. You're not really rooted at the end of the day because you're changing the scriptures. You're sipping off parts of your root and trimming your ways, man, trimming your roots for other people. No, man, you're supposed to speak according to the word. Everything in the book is profitable, man, is of value, okay? Okay, it's worth way more than riches, man, way more than rubies or anything that this world has to offer in terms of value. This is way more precious than anything. And it's been given by the inspiration of the Lord, man, himself, the Heavenly Father who created all things, who's keeping you in this place right now, sitting down, listening. The Lord made everything. He gave you all the tools, everything he created. He has the power to kill and destroy. And it's profitable for doctrine, reproof, rebuke, correction, and just instruction on living, holy and acceptable. We got to understand that that's what keeps the roots in place. And it's the book of Titus 2:1, but speak thou things which become sound doctrine. So don't speak obscenities, man. Don't speak nonsense. Okay, because every word you're going to be judged for, man. And don't get me wrong, I'm speaking for myself here. We all say things that we wish we could take back. Be a little bit more slow, man. Walk in the spirit. Control your tongue, bridle your tongue. It gets better when you apply it with time, patience, and sincerity. Okay? This is the book of John 4:1. Beloved, believe not every spirit, but try the spirits whether they are of Yahweh, because many false prophets are gone out into the world. So prove a friend first, man, and be not hasty to credit him. Test these people, man. Test who you're learning under, man. Really, really screen them. You got to understand, man, there's wolves everywhere. There's a lot of people in Israel, man, trying to teach and be all on this high position. And they don't know their place, man. They don't know order. They want to be better than people. They want to be this chief priest or high elder. You know how long Apostle Tahar, man, had to go and labor, man? You know how long he's been in this? 40 years. He has not dropped a plow. Every single week, week in and week out. He hasn't taken any breaks. He's earned that position, man, because it's been given to him to the Lord, man. The Lord's kept him here this whole time. But if you look at somebody like Alazar, or these other people, I believe the brothers talk about, Comfy. But Alazar, we know what happened to him. And that's terrifying. All right? And you want to follow under the right people. You really want to do that, man. And when it comes to just friends or just meeting people that want to be your brother so quick, man, you got to test them. You got to test them. There's nothing saying that they won't be a brother later down the line, man, if they prove themselves. Who's there when you really need them, man? Who really has their roots, man? Because if somebody's truly rooted in the Lord, and times come through and they're following the same doctrine as you, they're going to help you out, man. They're going to come through for you in some way, shape, or form. They're going to show that they're truly a brother of the Lord. Okay? And they're dwelling in unity with you, man. One body. Yeah, this is the book of Ephesians 4:14, that we henceforth be no more children tossed to and fro and carried about with every wind by doctrine and by the sleight of men with cunning craftiness where they lie into wait to deceive. So you're not like one of those trees that when the wind comes, you're being just swayed back and forth until you fall on the floor and you die. Or your roots just come out of the ground. You don't want that, man. Okay, don't be swayed away by this one and that one, and you know, really follow according to the true doctrine. Okay, the doctrine of great millstone. And then this, the book of 2 Timothy 2 and 15, study to show thyself approved as a workman that needed not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. So you're not going to be able to use wisdom and discern what's right from wrong if you're not studying these scriptures yourself, man. Precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little, there a little. Not indulging in these scriptures and force feeding yourself to where you don't understand it. Little by little, man, you learn with time, man. The Lord continues to pour into you and you grow with wisdom. Okay, this is not a rush. This is not a sprint. This is a marathon. Okay, and the Lord can pour more and more into you with time, but He has to teach you lessons through experiences and seasons and trials and tribulations to create patience, man, and endurance. This is what this is all about. So study, man. These scriptures, a living word, man. Okay, slow, man, patient, day by day, because today has its own issues. Okay, don't be trying to rush or try to beat people and reading chapters, man. You have to pace yourself, man. At the end of the day, man, we're supposed to do the work of the Lord and endure till the end. Okay? That's what this is really about. And study yourselves, man. Study. Learn, grow. Pray to the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahushai for the desire to grow with sincere milk. Sometimes we just need the milk, man. Sometimes we gotta go back to the milk. That's what it's simple, man. Keep things simple. Keep things simple and allow the roots to continue to grow. Simplicity is what makes things grow. If you look at a tree, it starts its first roots by giving it a little bit of water, then a little bit of nutrients. If you give it all the nutrients at once and you just dump a bunch of water and a bunch of gallons of water over it, it's going to choke itself out. It's going to die. It's going to burn. We don't want that. So study to show thyself approved with patience, day by day. All right, Akim? So it's a quick little lesson through the Spirit, man. I pray that you found this edifying and exhorting. I want to give all the glory and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash, Brakata Yahweh, Brakata Yahushai, Brakata Yahweh, Brakata Yahushai, Kal Halal, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles, our great millstone, who rule well and teach well in sincerity and charity. Peace and salutation unto the Lord's elect, this brother Yahweh Sop. To you, I say shalom.